guys, and welcome back. This is your Vimeo reading for the extension of the episode 3 of the Tarot Truth, and it's a podcast that I did on YouTube that you already know if you're here, so thank you for getting the package or the individual video. And you should probably watch the YouTube video first. Clearing the karma of oppression in the past and a new energy coming forward. And this is the destined energy that you were meant to be connected with for a long time. It feels very warm, this person who's coming in. They have like an earthy, really kind, soft energy, and I feel like it's very natural and very connected to spirit, and I feel as though it's guiding you in the right direction with regard to work or with regard to the other things that you're trying to pursue. The legacy of this is this person's very heroic. That's one of the energies that comes with this scenario, and it's almost like the hero has shown up, but you've already emancipated yourself from the things that were suppressing you. So you got out of the way of that King of Swords on your own in some way, and then he shows up. So he's kind of, it's a funny kind of coincidence. He didn't do that on any purpose. He was just busy with his own things or her own things until now. And now it's almost like the world, nature is celebrating. It feels like everything will come to a real synthesis in the springtime. So expect that to last until spring, and when spring happens, that's when there will be like just the energy is building now. In other words, the energy is building now and it's clearing, and we're going to take a look at what's going to happen in the time period between now and the spring. Okay, so this is through the winter into 2019. This card really wants to come out. I feel as though in terms of interactions with higher institutions and bodies that in some way direct the narrative of what you are dealing with, society and country, whatever, I feel as though you'll feel really helpless because the people in power are more akin to this King of Swords than how do you say, than you or this new energy. You have the pure natural energy, but you guys are counterculture. Maybe not necessarily, you're not like necessarily punks or something, but there is this element of counter energy to what you're bringing forward. And I feel as though there will be situations in which people will stand against you. The reason that's motivating them to push forward against you is, one is they're, how do you say, intrinsically people understand the society that they're in, right? Intrinsically people understand the society and the country that they live in, the norms, the all those kinds of qualities. And when you pull away from that energy, then they get uncomfortable because it's a threat to their nationalism, it's a threat to their identity, and so that is when they will most likely give some kind of opposition to that energy. But it's important for you to find what resonates with your soul, rather than taking a look at anything that they are soliciting or bringing. So I think that you are not going to necessarily in any way have problems with these people. I feel like the King of Air, if that comes through again in a person or a situation, I feel like that energy will be tiresome and you are not necessarily going to like it, but it's not necessarily going to be very evil or really put you out in a huge way. So it's something you still have to work through, but it's not necessarily the end of the world or something horrible. It's something that you have to communicate outward. So when you find yourself in a position with this person or this situation, you have to communicate this energy outward, and you have to in some way, You have to in some way articulate that you don't welcome this anymore. So, and it's going to speak to that person's past life. It's going to speak to your past life, all past confirmations, all past experiences. And it's a point of emancipation. It's like, no, it's a stand, right? You're taking a stand. It's like pulling the sword out of the stone, right? It's that moment of breakthrough. It's that moment of transcendence of something that was very stable and very done a specific way. But the way that it was done was not necessarily, not only not necessarily, it wasn't in any way, I'm just lighting an incense. It wasn't in any way helpful to you, or it stood against you. And the way that the root of that energy, it wasn't to do with like, you know, they had power and you wanted, it's not a conflict of interest. It was at some point in time in the past life, there was a theft of power. You know, there was power that was in some way taken away. There was power that was in some way, you know, taken away, removed forcefully in an unfair manner, or usurped, which was gathered by people in dishonest ways. And so you ended up kind of stuck with that energy. Like, here you go. That's it. You're stuck with the energy now. And so I feel like this is an opportunity for you to speak against this. And remember, your word is a magical embodiment of your will. And so basically what you need to specifically do is speak into existence your true desire. So when you find yourself in front of this King of Swords, whether it's a person or a situation, either with your mind's eye, which is your pineal gland or your third eye, or with your words specifically, you need to make, or you can just speak it quietly, right, to yourself. You don't have to confront necessarily. Some of you will feel that you need to. You should just go with your feelings on that. But you will speak the energy into existence, right? You will speak the energy that you are meant to hear into existence, and that's all, folks. Okay? So let's see your cards a little bit more. So I feel like, yeah, so you know, people don't let go of power too easily. So there will be this energy of really wanting to keep energy, keep the power. In this lifetime, you may find that this King of Swords may keep a certain, they may not accede, they may not give up power and turn it over to you. They may actually remove themselves from the situation completely. So like run away, you know, you've won, but they're going to run away in some way to keep what they have going on. This will be for another lifetime to work out, but it's the King of Swords energy is retracting now, like really retracting, pulling away, going a different direction. It's been caught, right? And you know, when they say the truth always comes out in the fold, sometimes within our lifetime the truth doesn't come out in the way that it should. But over lifetimes, this energy, nature balances itself out, and so that's what we're talking about here. And there's also an aspect to this King of Swords that's very maternal. There's a real deep integration of feminine energy in this circumstance. And so you may find that this is integrated with your mother, how you're treated as a mother. There's like an aspect of this that is that makes this still relevant for you, okay, in some way. The second energy is a desiring King of Fire, or King of Wands, Sagittarius or Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but it can be any fire energy of deep desire and lust. And I feel as though that's the second energy you will confront over the winter time before the new shift happens forward. These are both energies of possession, and I don't mean like ghosts. I mean possession as in people who like to ownership of others and take control over others and not appreciate liberty and freedom. And so I feel like this King of Fire is really, it's almost perverted, the energy. It's like, I want you, so you better be here. I feel like it's another narrative. It's another storyline that you're interacting with. So this is a very old energy. The oldest energy is, remember when I told you about the fish smiling in the tank? That is the oldest energy. That's pure source energy being content with the fact that you're moving along. But it's all watching you to see if you will persevere moving forward, because the King of Fire, again, I'm not picking on the fire signs, but the King of Fire is in some way, it's almost like the Midas's touch, where he has this kind of desire to, turn everything to gold and have everything and all of that. It's that possessive kind of energy, and it's very, very ancient. It's to do with like, it's primordial things. Primordial things means like things from like the source energy, things from the root, things that from the root that are moving forward, and in some way, it will not make much sense in terms of consciousness or practical things. It really has to make sense on the energetic level. So you think about this person, and then you feel this sense of this person has in some way put forward attachments into your life, and in some way tries to in some way hold you down with them, and in some way tries to kind of create an environment in which you are his, or create an environment in which you are responsible to the things that he's left. So it's like having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and then they suddenly come over and start leaving like toothbrushes and socks, and the more stuff they leave, it seems as though they're just leaving things behind, but really they're in some way kind of marking territory, right? And so there's this kind of toothbrushes thing with this guy, or with this energy. It could be a woman, and in some way they're putting stakes in your life. Now the King of Air, which we're done with now, is in some way, was very a tyrant, was very much in control, and very much hard to clear this energy. However, I feel like you've cleared that energy for some time in the past. You've already cleared a sizable portion of this, moved past it, and emancipated yourself, although there will be some things in future lifetimes that you'll have to address with this person. With the King of Fire, I feel like that's a more relevant storyline. It's a more relevant aspect of things. This person has more power than the King of Swords. He likes control, and he is a control energy, but he is not necessarily just he's not necessarily as tyrannical. He's the type of person that likes to manipulate more, and not in a negative sense, to bring people about to his side. So he likes the energy of somebody coming over to his camp, their will. He likes their will. That's an older energy, right? If that makes sense. So that's an older energy, when it's as these energies grew over time, and I'm talking about like millennia, thousands of years, as these energies grew over time, the energies to do with the King of Swords, they were much more recent. They were more tyrannical, more imbued in war and possession, and like townships, like, so you're thinking like the 1400s or 1500s. Well, the King of Fire is older. It's like Sumeria. We're talking like old stuff, we're talking about like more ancient energy, and this is what drives a person. So men often say that when they're drawn to a female, they are drawn, if they date women, but they are drawn with their torso. The torso is the leading energy field, and I guess gay men, and this is more to do with men than women, but I'm not being prejudiced. But the energy it has to do with those roots, where it's come from and where it needs to go, and when you're aware of the intuitive component of all this, then it feels like, like a sunny day, and I'm sensing like a sunny day and like the desert. That's why I said Sumeria. Babylon, those kinds of things are really, really ancient. They predate, a lot of different directions. And so we're talking about, this is like unequivocal power. You're going to come over to me not because I possess you, but because your desire is to be with me. And so I don't think in this lifetime you're necessarily working through that energy, or I don't think that's necessarily your specific path, but it's close. So if you think of like a Vesica Pisces, which is 2 circles that overlap, or if you a Venn diagram, a flower of life kind of thing, this is a circle that is very, very close to your circle, but it doesn't necessarily overlap yours. And so it does in some way, I shouldn't lie, but I feel like you don't have the power to be able to address it in this lifetime quite yet. And I feel like maybe the power over you, it wants you, it does want you, because it desires you in order to affirm itself. Wow, this is deep. And I don't know if you guys know, but I have an obsidian past life regression crystal, and I use this for these types of readings, and that's why they get so deep. But anyway, and I'm holding it now. You can kind of, how do you say, you can hear ASMR. But anyway, so it wants you. It feels very sexual, and it feels, oh yeah, we're on Vimeo, so I can say it. It's very sexual, and it feels very like, I want this, and this is mine. And I feel as though that the energy of the person who came in the last reading, the point of emancipation, is much less powerful than this energy that you're up against through the winter time. So this is very lusty. This is very desirous. This is like fully within its power. It's someone who doesn't in any way need to go for want. They have everything established, and they're still looking, they're still evolving within whatever it is that they have been searching for. But you're a part of their glow up too, and you're a part of theirs. It's almost, it's not a frenemy. It's like a friendship with conflicts of interest in it. But there's a great love there as well. It's much more loving energy, and in fact, I want to say that the King of Swords is a loving energy as well. This is all nature, right? It's just conflicts of interest, conflicts of positioning, because the King of Swords needs you to be suppressed. And I don't think that necessarily has to do with him. I don't feel as though that has to do with his volition, but in some place and time a long time ago, it was spoken that he would be yours, or you would be his, more like it. And so that energy got attached really, really deep. And in some way it's, I've been talking about these energies for 2 years now. Wow. Remember in my readings? Let me know in the comments. I really need you guys to, because the people who get the Vimeo readings tend to be more like deeper fans, right? But if I've been telling you guys about this in the King of Swords and the King of Wands, now I get it for the first time, actually. I was like, oh yeah, get away from me. When I'm saying that stuff, it's not to purge. When I do those kinds of things, it's not to purge, it's to acknowledge, right? And I don't really get, that's how memory works with the past life. It's like, it's to acknowledge, and to, in some way, it's coming through and it's coming in. And the two energies that have been coalescing or going back and forth is King of Swords and King of Wands. And they're almost like too much, it's like I just want to have my simple life with my simple kin, and you're desired for this energy of like gods, like it's like God energy. And I don't mean to be blasphemous, but I feel like these people in some way, it could have been legitimate or illegitimate. They could have solicited the universal energy of love of God, and in some way they are they are transmutating it or bringing it forward and like locking you down with it, because that's their signature, you know, that's the signature that like gods want you, you know, like gods personified as men, and in the possession of, just like an oracle, they in some way want you to participate in their legacy, right? But I feel like you desire something else. You don't want to be a widget. You don't want to be a tool of their energy. And I feel like you don't want to be subject to that. You appreciate it on some level. You love it back on some level. But some of the, like, you don't want to be in servitude to somebody else's energy. And so it feels like, especially with the King of Fire, it feels much more desirous. It feels a lot more pleasureful and good, because the King of Fire is the ultimate, is as close to God. I know that sounds really extreme. Is as close to God as any of these people are. We are all equally close to God, first of all, but there's like some type of a connection here with the King of Fire that is closer to God's tapped in deeper, because it's ancient. It's very, very ancient, like Sumeria. And so I think that desire, it's almost like it's calling for you and wants you to be there with it. But I feel like your journey has to do with this shepherd boy, you know, this kind of relatively humble person. That doesn't mean, you know, I really strongly feel like saying that doesn't mean that they're poor, or that they're going to be like, you know, a weight. In fact, they're empowering. So the empowerment comes from the autonomy. You get to become a little bit more like God yourself. You step more into that connection to the universal flow. You are becoming more like you're coming up from underneath the wings of the King of Fire and the King of Air, and it's time for you to transcend and become a God yourself. And I'm not sure if that's within this lifetime. I feel like this probably has to do with the time scale is hard, because we're talking about really big themes, right? And so you're coming out from underneath the wing of the King of Fire and the King of Air, and you have studied under there. They're your masters, they're your teachers, but also they're your points of suppression. And I feel like this person who's coming through is going to hold your hand, and you two together are on a legacy to ascend. It's almost reminding me of the story of Osiris and Isis, and those are the two gods that had the new universe Horus born, and they opposed the god Set. Set was Osiris's brother, who maimed him and tortured him and cut him up into a million pieces, and then Isis salvaged the situation by grabbing his phallus and having sex with it, and then having the new universe. But it's this regeneration, salvaging, and I feel like maybe conversely, that story that just came through about Osiris and Isis, I feel like the inverse is happening now. That person's coming in and salvaging you from the legacy is that you need to be emancipated from underneath the control of two very, very powerful energies of the masculine. This is deep. I hope you guys aren't disappointed, because some people are really not into this kind of level of stuff. But I feel like you got to think of all three energies as somehow benefic, and they're in some way, benefic means positive, and so they are in some way rotating and giving forward different aspects of the reality. They're giving forward different aspects of the reality and the signature. So the King of Fire will the desire. So this King of Fire is in some way going to, in some way, try to create their desire is manifesting as cruelty in part, or in a control over home, or over control over home or a place of living. And I feel like this needs to be negotiated before that new person starts getting more and more in the situation. The King of Air is definitely in the past and has a lot to do with something very far away. So almost now I'm getting the download that it has to do with another galaxy. So this is to do with a war. Oh man, this is the download. This has to do with the galaxy far away, that it's a non-human galaxy where there is a war happening, and this energy has come through to us. It's almost like it's a part of our memories and reality, because it was like a beacon of help that they were shooting out into the universe. They were in some way trying to let everyone know what's going on, or maybe the energy of that war was so great that it permeated out to everyone else in the universe. And it could be beyond universe. It feels very, very distant. Like, I don't think I've even felt something that far beyond. This is so crazy, and it's coming through in your life. This is wild. Oh my God, I love doing these readings. But yeah, it's definitely from, okay, so let me try to describe it. So it's definitely a world some far away, and the non-shape entities that are in a war in some way or in conflict. There's something very perilous that's going on there. It's very like it's a full-on battlefield or war. And so I feel as though it's almost like the King of Air is like, of course you're subservient to me because I hold so much power. It's like it's you shouldn't sweat it, because it's like an alien energy, you know, and it's coming through in order to give us awareness to avoid doing the same thing here, you know, at some point. So it's a seed that was sent out from another universe, from another place, another galaxy, another place in time. And a part of that has to do with trying to avoid the mishaps of what they're learning, but they're very much more elevated. They're much more in a different space and time. And so it has to do with words, the things that people say to words. This is connected with the idea that we're not supposed to speak ill to each other. That's this idea. That's the King of Swords. And it comes from that place. It comes from that place. In all religions, we say don't speak ill of each other and to each other. In the Jewish faith, which is probably my favorite one, you say when somebody speaks ill of you, you're supposed to be grateful and be thankful that they have spoken ill, because they have taken on your sin. So this is like high vibrational energy. And I feel, wow, we saw the root of that. The root of that is celestial, and it's universal. My God, I almost feel like I should put this on YouTube instead. So okay. And then the King of, I'll put this on YouTube. I don't think this deserves to be paid for. If you guys want to pay for it, then just rent the Karma videos anyway. I'm gonna do this for free for you guys, because it's for everybody should hear this. And then because it got so deep. But the King of Fire is another energy, and it's primordial. It's funny how you think that something's more shallow. It hit the earth, that consciousness and awareness. It started really manifesting heavy in the 1500s or 1400s. But it was see, it's not bad. It's just, it's not what you want right now for yourself. It's like you have three pieces, and they're juggling around through past lives and past experiences. Okay. And the King of Fire is a primordial energy from here on Earth, and it's very desirous, and it's very much, it's coercive. Now I feel like it's almost like the King of Swords or the King of Air is like, you say what I do because, you know, you have no other option. The King of Fire is like, let me corner you and create a situation where you have no other option, so that you succumb to my desire, so you succumb to my needs, which is to do with, like, I'm thinking of like, I'm thinking of like some kind of king or some kind of ruler that plays with people like ants. And I don't think it comes from, it's a horrible thing in one way, but in one way it's like an expression of ancient energy. It's pushing things along in a certain way in order to actualize things. And when a person does something like that, they're accruing the karma of all of those actions. So they're creating that building and that destroying mechanism here on earth, right? Okay, that's ancient. My stomach's gurgling. Sorry about that. I don't even know what card to pick up. Here, I'll use these. Wow. Let me know if this hit the spot. Yeah, this is going on YouTube for sure. Here is the next message. I got the King of Wands. Oops. Okay. So we have the King of Wands in some way. So the King of Wands in some way is a ruler, and he's very youthful in his energy. he's kind of pointing the finger at things, and kind of abrasive, and kind of just, it's manifesting as like a energy that has to do with how do you say, just immaturity, or still coming into its own. Like a droplet has fallen away from the river and is now creating its own river, if that makes sense. And in some way it's a brash energy. It makes me think of almost like a spoiled teenager, that's acting away. And I feel like they're kind of sticking the finger in your face. They're sticking the finger on their face while they're being directed away in a new direction. Stupid energy right now. But that doesn't mean that the King of Fire is stupid. They're not stupid. It's a very ancient, it makes me think of like a supreme ruler kind of thing. But I feel like, yeah. But the situation will end. The situation will end when you see it for what it is. And as you see it for what it is, it's not going to be as intimidating. Okay, you guys, I'm not going to do a Vimeo reading, but I hope you guys support my videos here. And if you do want to support this Karma series, you can rent the Karma series. I definitely will put more videos in there in the future tense. I just thought that this should be published on YouTube, so please share the video, like, and subscribe, and check out the other videos in this series. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.